For many years I've been telling an important parable about this, about how the Satan is instrumental, precisely the Satan is instrumental in bringing about the Geula. Like Haman, he's the one who makes the Purim miracle, because he's so hot on getting us, right? And so we have exactly one in our generation who's doing his job also. And we have to be careful, we have to pray, because obviously just as in the Purim story, which was what, last week? Huh?
It's very close.
It gets very close, and it has to awaken in Am Yisrael, the soul of Am Yisrael, this cry to become Esther's and Mordechai's. Okay, the Satan once came up to heaven and bowed before God. Where does that come from? Later on, I bring the source for it in the book of Job. He came up to heaven and bowed before God. Master of the world, I nullify myself before you. Oh, don't try and fool me, Satan. I didn't call you a sneak for nothing. And anyway, I'm busy today preparing for redemption. This worries the Satan. The redemption will spell his end. Trying to mask his nervousness, he asks, like, what are you doing to bring the redemption? That sounds interesting. Satan, it's really none of your business. But if you want to know, I have some souls here that I have stored away for the end. Just prior to redemption, I'm getting ready to send them down into the world to enlighten the eyes of the children of men and to help them overcome the terrible threat of destruction which you have been instrumental in creating. Maybe that's the best line in the whole book. Okay? What it does is putting things in perspective. It takes away from the think that that guy over there is our enemy. He's a pawn, he's a nothing. And so also are our political leaders. And anybody who thinks you have to work on the geopolitical level, you got to be really into it. And I really honor Netanyahu for what he's doing and who he is. I don't trust him like 100, like everything, but basically I live there, right? And I pray for the guy. Netanyahu, do it, man. You can become Mashiach ben Yosef, but you got to be true. You got to be real. He sat Shiva for his father a year ago. His father was like totally into the Torah. He had a vision. So Netanyahu knows that vision. He has to play this game. How much is a game? How much is not? I don't know. I'm not an insider. But I really pray for him. It's an awesome, awesome responsibility. He's calling on the world time and time again. Will you please wake up? He speaks so beautifully in the UN. It's like you can be so proud. It's so beautiful to have somebody who can express and articulate and to really be a Jew. And people, they all stood up and clapped. But what happens afterwards is they I don't know, right? They're not there. They don't get it. But it's amazing.
They set up for him a standing ovation Congress.
Also, right. Yeah, in Congress, definitely. So anyway, so this parable goes on. Hearing about special souls, Satan's interest is piqued. Oh, could I have some of them? Or could I see some of them? I like souls. That's like really my big thing, you know. I take souls. I've taken them always. But I really do good with them. You know, I take care of them and I feed them and groom them and Okay. What? You see some of them? Have you lost your mind, Satan? These souls are the ones who will defeat you once and for all. But still, if I could just see some of them. Well, to make a long parable short, Hashem is driving the Satan crazy by dangling these special souls in front of him and not giving him a chance to get at them. Which is really what the Satan does to us. He dangles things in front of us and he takes us. He takes us. So Hashem obviously does the same thing with the Satan. Well, okay, finally Satan gets up the nerve to ask, could I have some of them? I promised to take care of them, like really good. Oh, Satan, I told you, these are the souls of redemption. Like, will you please? It's not for you. But after a few more excruciating exchanges, Hashem finally relents and says, okay, Satan, I'm giving you a few of these souls, but you better take good care of them. So I was one of them. I was born in Los Angeles, Hollywood, California. I am standing before you today, but you also. I'm just using myself as an example, because it's really amazing. What do we know about these things, right? What do we know about anything? We weren't born in, even if we would, I don't know, nobody was telling us anything. There was nobody to tell us what this world is about. I mean, I had bar mitzvah lessons. But that, was like only a few days. I got gifts, okay. Something was lacking. But for sure it was important that it happened, because it gave me that connection that I needed, that later on I carried my tefillin for 9 years without putting them on. Wow. All through college I carried my tefillin. They meant something to me. It wasn't until afterwards that I put them on again. So I bless all of us. We should look back and see that everything that has happened to us, even the seemingly minor things, it's all part of this amazing drama of Hashem interacting with our souls. And the only difference now is that we want to be aware and appreciative that He was the one who was doing this whole thing. He was using characters, including this creep, but He was doing it all behind the scenes. And it's really great to know that He cares about you and He cares about me. Oh yes, I'll take care of them. I'll give them the best. And he bows and he backs away from the divine presence. And when he turns around, he goes like this. That's his blind, huh? The fingers behind his being. Now I can do what I want. I played the game with God. When I'm in front of Him, I'm for sure. He's tops. But when I turn my back, He doesn't know what I'm doing. And I bring a proof from Rav Zusha, who said that Bilam had only one good eye. And that there's this Torah that when you have two good eyes, you see things in perspective. You see how great God is and how little you are. But all Bilam saw was only whatever, how big he was. So Bilam is an embodiment of this also. I can get away with what I want by using God's power against him and against his people. All right, that's the idea. Turn the aleph around and make it into a swastika, and then turn it against the Jewish people. The truth is, in order to hurt us, you have to turn our own power against us. That's what all of our enemies want to do. I don't know if I can really, I don't really have a bank account behind that one right now. I've had ideas, but okay, maybe that was the one thing I've said that I can't really be behind, so I'm telling you, that thing about the swastika. So Satan now has some of the finest souls in his grip. These souls are the cream of the crop. What does he do? He makes sure that they are all born in different places and have no contact with each other. Again, that's us. He really does invest his best efforts in bringing them up. He makes sure that they are born in the best homes and get the best educations. He grooms them to be leaders. Eventually one becomes the head of such and such a cult, and another becomes the head of another cult, and so on. I really shortened it here, to make a long parable short. One even brings his group to Jerusalem once, but not to worry. Jerusalem is under Satan's thumb. What do I mean by that? Just making fun a little bit of that, you can come to Jerusalem and still think that your religion is, these Jews, they're sitting there learning Torah, but, there's nothing there. Okay, but now wait, another one comes to Jerusalem, because that's where I live, but not because where I live. It's because Jerusalem is the center of the spiritual power of the Jewish people, obviously. Right? And the meaning of Yerushalayim, Yeru Shalem, Yeru Shalem. The maximum, the Meshech Chochmah writes, Yerei Shalem, that Hashem wanted to call the place by the name Shalem because in honor of Melchizedek, who was Shem, Noach's son. Shalem, he was Melech Shalem. And Shalem means Shalem b'midot. refined and rectified in my character traits, because Noach was saved from the flood because of that. And in the ark for 12 months, he took care of the animals. They gave everything in order to be givers, not takers. And so that family represented the perfection of the moral fiber of mankind, the perfection of goodness for its own sake. But Yireh, Abraham, had a vision at the top of Mount Moriah, and he said, he called the place Hashem Yireh. Hashem will be seen in this place. And Yireh means intellect. It means the absolute maximum of truth. The search for truth and the finding of truth with a capital T. So Noach and his family represent good. And Abraham represents truth. And so Yireh is truth. And Shalem is good. And Yerushalayim is the place in the world that represents the maximum, absolute, not maximum, the perfection of goodness and truth. And most religions are one or the other. And the other, if they do one, they'll like lie a little bit. Or if they're into truth, so goodness will also suffer at that. But Yerushalayim is this incredible place. So that's why Yerushalayim is here, not because I live there. But wait, okay, another one comes to Jerusalem, and another, and they're meeting some of these old Jews who know Torah. And they like what they hear. And something rings true, and they stay. And the Satan runs up to heaven. And he's frothing. And he says, what's going on? Why are they doing this? I invested everything, the best that money could buy, into these souls. I gave them everything I had. Well, yes, Satan, what's wrong? You don't understand. I put everything... You're saying this to God, right? You don't understand. I put everything I had into these souls, everything. It's all being ruined now. But Satan, I told you that I had to bring the redemption. You see, what you put into them is what you've stolen all for thousands of years. And they have now taken it back from you. And they did it with your, not only consent, you put everything into them. You're right. And now they are the ones who are going to redeem this power that you had locked up until now. That's more or less, right? I think there's even more here, but that's all I can do justice to. It's just such an incredible power that parable has for me. So I bring the sources in the next part of the book and play a little bit more with the character of Sam. Let's stop here for a second. Anybody want to think out loud? Anybody want to ask anything? Anybody want to say anything? Share anything? We've spoken about that this is a responsibility in our generation to really believe in the paradigm shift. And that the Torah is misunderstood. The prophetic level of the Torah is hidden, not only from the nations of the world, but from ourselves. But that our souls, we've been born now with this redemptive surge within us that wants nothing less, right? And that we want the Baal Shem Tov and the Gaon of Vilna, and the Ramchal, and the Ari, and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and the whole thing. We want all of it. We want a unified picture to begin to emerge. Don't keep breaking everything up into pieces and expecting me to think that this is what Judaism is. I want something that's whole. I want something that speaks to my soul. I want something that I can relate to. That I also important. Not an ego importance, but that Hashem knows that He created me for a reason and that I want to be part of the Messianic process. Give me something that speaks to me that way.